Welcome back to the Atma Network webinar series and to part 2 of the webinar on strategy planning, a key step towards achieving your NGO's goals. Before we go any further, let me introduce myself. My name is Aparna Bhatt and I am a partnership manager at Atma. I provide capacity building in strategy development, marketing, HR, fundraising, etc. to 4 education NGOs. I completed my Masters in International Relations from IE Business School in Spain, where I did an in-depth study of social enterprise models in developing countries. I have been a part of a consulting assignment with a social enterprise in South Africa and also worked at a social innovation accelerator called Innovent, where I manage projects for clients like the World Bank, WWF, etc. In this webinar, I have combined my experience working with multiple NGOs along with the practices that we follow at Atma. The webinar on strategy planning is a 2-part webinar. In the first part that was held last month, we went over the basics of strategy planning and the process of formulating long-term goals for your organization and the strategies to achieve them. The second part will focus on how to convert these strategies into specific action points and put them into a tangible plan. The agenda for today is as follows. We will start with a quick recap of the topics covered in part 1. Then we will move on to a detailed explanation of the life stage survey. Next, we will go over the strategy plan and the annual implementation plan template. We will then have a short question and answer session. I request you to make a note of your questions and ask them during the Q&A session. Lastly, I will demonstrate to you how to answer the life stage survey on the Atma network in order to find out the stage of an NGO in one organization development area. Let us first do a recap of the first webinar. Strategy planning is a process undertaken by an organization to develop a plan for the achievement of its overall long-term organizational goals. This process helps you understand where you currently are as an organization, where your organization wants to go and by when, and how to achieve those goals. It then helps you formulate and present it as a tangible plan. Strategy planning should be undertaken once the organization has a clear vision and mission as well as a well-defined program. The process should be led by the leader or founder or executive director of the organization and should involve key members of the organization. At Atma, we follow the following strategy planning process as you can see on your screen. I will quickly go over the 3 steps that we covered in the previous session. Step 1. Setting the big SMART goal. In this step, your organization sets its 3 to 5 year goal, that is, it determines what it wants to achieve in 3 to 5 years. Ensure that you are being smart when structuring the goal, SMART being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. When formulating your goal, refer to these thinking points: by when, for whom, what, and where. In the previous session, we set the goal for Uplift Foundation. Just to recap, Uplift Foundation provides after-school mathematics and English training to children from low-income backgrounds. Currently, they have one center that reaches out to 50 children. This center has a total capacity of 65 children. We use the thinking points to arrive at the following components of the organization's big SMART goals, which are mentioned on the slide. By when? 2019-20. For whom? 320 children from low-income backgrounds of standards 4th to 6th. What? Provide mathematics and English training to children so that there is at least a 30% increase in their school exam marks in the 2 subjects, and to increase efficiency of the centers from 65 children per center to 80 children per center. Step 2 in the strategy planning process is conducting the SWOT exercise against the priority areas. Once you have the big goals, you need to come up with a plan of action or strategies that will help you achieve these big goals. At Atma, we group the strategies into 5 broad areas known as priority areas. The 5 priority areas are as seen on the slides: quality and cost efficiency, successful outcomes and results, external recognition, partner and talent acquisition and retention, and funding. The next step is to conduct a SWOT analysis for each of the above priority areas and come up with strategies to achieve your goals. In this exercise, your team enumerates the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the organization in the context of the big goal and the different priority areas that make up your organization. On the slide, you can see the SWOT for Uplift Foundation. Step 3. Filling the SWOT matrix and coming up with strategies and activities. The SWOT matrix provides you with a structure to analyze the SWOT and to formulate rough strategies and activities to achieve the big goal. To come up with strategies and activities, look at the strengths and opportunities to identify the strengths of the organization that can be harnessed to utilize the opportunities. For instance, one of Uplift Foundation's strengths is that it has a replicable program with SOPs and a set curriculum. An opportunity is that it has connections with many community-based organizations. Therefore, a strategy can be to expand to new centers by entering into collaborative partnerships with community-based organizations. Similarly, look at strengths and threats to identify ways to use your strengths to mitigate risks. Next, look at weaknesses and opportunities and identify ways to overcome your weaknesses and to make use of existing opportunities. Then, look at weaknesses and threats and establish a defensive plan to minimize the effect of external threats. These strategies will be further developed when we create the final strategy plan document. We have now finished the recap of the previous session. For a more detailed explanation, please refer to the video and the presentation from part 1 of the strategy planning webinar, which you will find on YouTube. The details of how to access the video are on the screen and will also be shared with you post this webinar. We will now move on to step 4 of the strategy planning process, that is the life stage survey. Step 4. Life stage survey. Once you have a broad list of strategies, it is advisable to cast a more critical gaze to identify which areas within your organization need to be strengthened to help you carry out your strategies and realize your goals. You can do this with the help of the life stage survey. The life stage survey is a diagnostic tool that helps you assess how developed your organization is in key organization development areas like programs, marketing, fundraising, finance, leadership, etc. It helps identify areas in your organization that require improvement and also provides you with suggested next steps to strengthen these areas. The next steps can either be considered as activities or formulated as new strategies in the strategy plan document. This survey is key in determining the internal capacity that the organization needs to build in order to reach its goals. The life stage survey tool that Atma uses is adapted from the tool in the book 5 Life Stages of Non-Profit Organizations by Judith Sharkin-Simon. We have expanded and simplified the tool, and it now covers the 10 organization development areas that we focus on at Atma. The adapted tool is available on the Atma network. According to the author, organizations go through 5 stages as they evolve and develop. Atma has termed these 5 stages as Stage 1, Idea Phase. In this stage, the organization is not yet formalized and is in the ideation phase. Stage 2, Startup Phase. The organization is formally established and registered and is characterized by a high degree of excitement and enthusiasm. Stage 3, Organization and Growth Phase. The organization focuses on putting in place key systems and processes, standardizing its program, and preparing for expansion. Stage 4, Production and Momentum Phase. Here, the organization is functioning smoothly and places emphasis on maintaining operations at the existing level. Stage 5, Review and Change Phase. Here, the organization is reviewing its work as well as its systems and processes and making necessary changes to stay relevant in the sector and to ensure that the programs are aligned to the stated vision and mission. The organizations get more mature as the life cycle progresses. The characteristics of each life stage mentioned above are for the organization as a whole. However, the characteristics of each life stage differ depending on the organization development area. Let us talk about the organizational development area of fundraising. Key characteristics displayed by an organization at various stages of fundraising are: Stage 1, no legal registrations, donations primarily by the founders and trustees. Stage 2, legal registrations are in place, donations are given by individuals, and the need for a fundraising plan is felt. Stage 3, fundraising tools are in place and focus is now on diversifying fundraising streams. Stage 4, a fundraising strategy and plan is in place and there is a dedicated fundraising manager. Stage 5, the organization now has a fundraising team and long-term partnerships and commitments. The Life Stage Survey tool has characteristics written down as a statement for each organization development area. You and your team will have to indicate the extent to which you agree with these statements by giving it a number from 1 to 5. 1 means you completely disagree and 5 means you completely agree. The life stage that has the highest score is the life stage of the organization in that particular area. In the case of Uplift Foundation, in fundraising, Section 2 has the highest score and hence Uplift Foundation's life stage in fundraising is 2. Each organization can be at a different life stage in different organization development areas. For example, Uplift Foundation can be at a life stage 2 for fundraising but at a life stage 4 for programs. What this means is that Uplift Foundation is not so developed in fundraising but has most of the characteristics of a mature organization in its programs. Once you complete the entire life stage survey, you will get the life stage of your organization in each of the organization development areas. Once you have all the life stages, the tool on the Atma network gives you suggested next steps which will help you strengthen that area and help the organization move to the next life stage. A well-developed organization will be at life stage 4. These next steps can be converted into strategies or activities. On the Atma network, each suggested next step is linked to a project which includes a how-to guide, templates, examples, and reading material. Getting back to our example, Uplift Foundation is at life stage 2 in fundraising and the next step is to build a fundraising strategy. We can add preparing a fundraising strategy to the list of strategies that we came up with in step 4. We encourage you to administer the life stage survey for your organization before filling out the strategy plan template and to also administer it on an annual basis since it helps you monitor the development of the internal capacities of your organization. Remember, the life stage survey is a self-evaluation tool, so it is important to be honest. We will be demonstrating how to fill out the life stage survey in the last part of today's webinar. Step 6. Strategy Plan Document. This step involves plugging the strategies and activities from step 4 and the suggested next steps from the life stage survey into a consolidated and long-term strategy plan document. This document will aid you in assigning timelines and resources as well as in monitoring the status of achievement of the strategies and associated activities. Let us look at the template. The first column has all the priority areas. In column B, the strategies grouped as per priority area are entered. Remember to include the strategies that you have formulated in the SWOT matrix and the suggested next steps from the life stage survey. In column C, mention the outcomes, which is how this strategy will help you achieve your goals. In column D, the strategies are broken down into key activities that you need to undertake to achieve a strategy. Here, it is recommended to keep the activities at a very broad level. Assign timelines in columns E to H, that is, the timeline during which you want to work on the strategy and the activities. It is important to be realistic and not assign a lot in 1 year. Prioritize key strategies and activities within each area and then assign timelines. Make sure they follow a logical sequence. In column I, enter the resources that you require for a particular activity. By listing them down, you will know what resources you have and what resources you need to obtain before working on the strategy. In column J, enter the person responsible for overseeing the task and not necessarily executing it. In column K, the last column allows you to monitor the progress of the activities and strategies. The status can be not started, ongoing, postponed, and completed. You can see an example strategy plan on your screen. Step 7. Annual Implementation Plan. Once the strategies and related activities for the long term are plugged into the strategy plan document, the next step is to fill out the annual implementation plan. While the strategy plan focuses on the 3 to 5 year timeline, the AIP focuses on all the strategies and activities that need to be implemented in a specific year. The AIP template is very similar to the strategy plan template. However, instead of years, we have quarters. We divide the year into 4 quarters, with Q1 being from April to June. When filling the AIP template, pick up only the strategies and activities that have been allocated to that particular year and then fill out the template in the same manner as the strategy plan template. Please be more detailed when you mention the activities. You can see part of a filled out AIP template on your screen.